Nigeria, Africa's most populous country, is a land of striking contrasts, where rich culture and natural beauty meet some of the world's most controversial environmental and human rights issues. Today, we're diving deep into a story that has echoed through the history of power and the creeks of the Niger Delta alike. It's the story of how one of the globe's biggest oil giants, Royal Dutch Shell, has not just extracted resources but cables, infiltrated the fabric of Nigerian politics and environment. Shell's infiltration. The story starts with a revelation from secret cables released by the US State Department, detailing a meeting where a Shell executive claimed they had access to everything being done in Nigeria's oil scene. But what does everything mean? It meant embedding staff within key Nigerian ministries, giving Shell unparalleled access to decision-making processes and potentially the ability to shape policy in its favor. When Shell began its operations in Nigeria, the country welcomed the potential economic benefits. However, the environmental degradation and social injustices that followed painted a different picture. The Niger Delta, home to millions of people, faced severe pollution due to oil spills, gas flaring, and deforestation caused by oil extraction activities. The environmental and human cost. But the story of Shell in Nigeria isn't just a political thriller. It's also about environmental crises and human tragedies. The environmental consequences in the Niger Delta have been dire. Oil spills, often from leaking pipelines and wellheads, have contaminated water sources, killed marine life, and made fertile agricultural land barren. Despite claims from Shell that the majority of spills were due to sabotage or theft, the frequency and volume of these incidents raised questions about the adequacy of the company's infrastructure and its commitment to environmental stewardship. To talk about a few statistics, only within 5 years, sabotage and theft caused more than 70% of oil spills from Shell's local facilities, with 2009 alone seeing these factors contribute to 98% of spills. In the Niger River, especially in the small community of Bodo in Ogoniland, Nigeria, life has drastically changed. This area, once thriving with mangrove forests and rich in fishing and farming opportunities, was devastated by 2 major oil spills from Shell pipelines in 2008 and 2009. The spills damaged the environment severely, affecting the community's ability to feed their families and maintain their livelihoods. As a result, Bodo became akin to a refugee community. The local communities, primarily dependent on fishing and farming, found their livelihoods destroyed. The promised economic prosperity from oil revenues largely bypassed these communities, worsening poverty and leading to widespread dissatisfaction. This discontent fueled protests and, in some cases, led to violent confrontations, legal battles, and resistance. The plight of the Ogoni people, a minority ethnic group in the Niger Delta, brought international attention to the situation. Led by activist Ken Saro-Wiwa, the Ogoni people's non-violent struggle against Shell and the Nigerian government highlighted issues of environmental damage, human rights abuses, and a lack of fair compensation. His ultimate fate turned out to be brutal. His execution in 1995, under controversial circumstances alongside 8 others, sparked global outrage and led to increased scrutiny of Shell's practices in Nigeria. Despite Shell ceasing oil and gas production in Ogoniland in the 1990s, their pipelines still run through the region, causing ongoing environmental damage. In 2012, the Bodo community took Shell to court in London and, after 3 years, secured a landmark victory, receiving £55 million in compensation. The community decided to divide this settlement equally among its residents, enabling them to build new houses, though many could only afford unfinished structures. However, the real issue remains the environment's restoration. Shell promised cleanup, but progress was significantly slow, and there was a little skepticism about the funding reaching the intended projects due to corruption. Neighboring communities like Goy also sought justice and planned to use any compensation to rebuild essential services. But everyone agreed that without environmental restoration, no real progress can be made. The Bodo victory was significant. But money alone cannot fix the long-standing problems caused by oil pollution in the Niger Delta. The fallout from these events has been long-lasting. The situation in the Niger Delta has also affected Nigeria's economy, with oil theft and sabotage reducing the country's oil output and revenues. Meanwhile, the struggle has taken a more violent turn on the ground. Groups like the Movement for the Emancipation of the Niger Delta have risen, targeting oil installations in a call for justice and equity. The leaked admissions of Shell's influence in Nigeria do more than just confirm suspicions. They highlight the complex relationship between big corporations and sovereign nations. Shell's strategic exit from Nigeria's onshore oil business. However, currently, the news that is getting attention is about Shell parting ways with its onshore oil business in Nigeria after nearly a century. The deal, worth about $2.4 billion, transfers Shell's facilities and 18 oil mining leases to a consortium, mainly local firms. This shift promises to keep more oil wealth within Nigeria, but also hands over the environmental and legal challenges that Shell faced. Shell's Nigerian onshore operations have been plagued by environmental issues, including significant oil spills and sabotage, resulting in costly cleanups and lawsuits. The continuous oil theft and the resulting spills have made this venture more of a liability than an asset, leading to Shell's decision to sell. Despite the sale, Shell is still in Nigeria. The company will continue its more profitable deep-sea operations in the Gulf of Guinea and other ventures like gas supply and solar power. This move aligns with Shell's focus on less problematic and more profitable areas. The sale awaits approval from the Nigerian government. Once finalized, it marks the end of a complex chapter between Shell and Nigeria, opening the potential for better environmental practices and local economic development. This transition is a significant moment for Nigeria, offering a chance to redefine its oil industry toward a more sustainable and equitable future. While Shell and other oil companies have made efforts to improve their environmental practices and community relations, challenges remain. The legacy of pollution, mistrust between the local communities and oil companies, and ongoing issues of governance and corruption continue to plague the Niger Delta. The situation in Nigeria is a cautionary tale of the complexities involved when foreign corporations operate in resource-rich, developing countries. It underscores the need for responsible business practices, transparent governance, and genuine community engagement to ensure that natural resource extraction does not come at the expense of environmental sustainability and human rights. What are your thoughts on Shell's operations in Nigeria? How should the international community respond? Share your views in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to get insights on issues that matter.